I am paging Dr. Chanda.
I am the
Dr. Chanda.
And I'm a licensed clinical psychologist.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Paging Dr. Chanda podcast, all things related to the Black culture.
Revolt. The doctor in front of your name.
What's up, family? It is Dr. Chanda. Tune in for another episode of Paging Dr. Chanda. All you have to do is keep watching. But listen, if you're just watching from the outside, just peeking through the window, I need you to commit. Come all the way in the house, and I need you to subscribe, like, and shoot me a comment in the comment section. I love responding to all of your comments. I love listening and reading how much you guys enjoy the topics that I'm talking about. So yeah, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, and join the tribe.
Stop scrolling for 1 second. This month, we are bringing back the psychology of Black women, the online class brought to you by yours truly, Dr. Chanda, licensed clinical psychologist. Y'all, I've been getting so many questions about why anxiety and depression presents differently in Black women. What do we do about it? How can we start to combat this? And what are some of the reasonings behind it? Listen, if you are a Black woman who has questions about anxiety and depression, it's something you experience or something your loved ones experience, or if you're a professional who works with Black women who experience anxiety and depression, I promise you this class is for you. Make sure that you sign up today.
Hey everybody, you are now tuned in to the Paging Dr. Chanda show, where we talk about all things related to life, the culture, and our mental health. Y'all, I am so excited to be here today with my special guest, Miss Christina Johnson. Miss Christina, if you don't mind, could you introduce yourself to the people so they can get to know you a little bit?
Absolutely. Hi, you guys. My name is Christina Johnson. I am a master life coach. I am an interior designer. I am from Charlotte, North Carolina, a lover of people, a lover of women, a lover of all things enjoying life. I love for people to enjoy life. I love helping people and to live a life.
I love
of
that. That statement, love yourself for the first time or again. That's so powerful because as women, sometimes we go through things that causes us to question our value. Is that something that you notice when you're coaching people?
Absolutely. Yes, and it's the way that I grew up, which is one of the reasons why I love helping women so much. And I say women because that's my largest following. My following is like 87% women. And so they trust me. And that is amazing that they trust me with their, secrets and the things that they've been through. But I grew up with a lot of self-hatred, not loving myself, not thinking that I was beautiful, feeling like my face was cursed and I wasn't smart enough and all of those things. So growing up in a household where there was a lot of abuse, there wasn't really a lot of promoting self-love. I didn't really know what self-esteem was. And then we create these stories around ourselves based on the things that we've been through. And so it is imperative that with this journey that I have, that I'm able to help as many people to love themselves again, or like me, learning to love yourself for the first time.
What you mentioned there is so powerful that a lot of times the household in which we grew up can significantly impact how we view ourselves. I definitely want to hop into that. But before I do, I heard you say you're from Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay.
I am. I'm from Charlotte.
Go ahead.
Yes. That's where I was born and raised. I've lived in Atlanta for over 20 years now, but Charlotte is definitely my home for sure.
Yeah, I'm so here for that. So what was it like growing up in Charlotte, North Carolina?
It was really, for me, like I said, we had a lot of hardships in the house. But Charlotte itself is a beautiful city, very clean air. Sometimes people call it Little Atlanta because it has a lot of things going on, but it's not it's getting there, as wild as Atlanta, but it's close. But growing up, it was the country. We're told that what goes on in this house stays in this house. So it puts a lot of pressure on a child. You can't talk, certain emotions you can't show. So that was kind of tough. But other than that, I love Charlotte. Yeah, that's my home. So
Okay.
I try to go when I can, not as often as I used to, but for sure I love it so much. And a lot of
Okay.
my
Awesome. All right, y'all. So we are back. Miss Christina, I cannot wait to hop into your story. So you've been talking to us about the household that you grew up in. Can you kind of paint the picture for us so we can like fully understand who you are?
Absolutely. So I grew up with my mom and my stepdad. My dad and my mom were dating each other as teenagers. So my mom was a teen mom. And then they broke up because my dad was a serial cheater. And when they broke up, my dad, I think he was upset at my mom. I know for sure. He was upset at my mom for not being with him anyway. And so his thing was really to kind of back away. And so I was really the product of not having my dad because of, adult issues. And then my mom met my stepdad when I was a baby. I had to be maybe one. And then they got together, and I think my dad really kind of fell back for sure. But I was told as a little girl that my dad didn't want to have anything to do with me, that he didn't claim me as a child. And I was
Wow.
told that I was a mistake a lot. Because my mom got pregnant, she said it was her first time having sex and she got pregnant. So she wasn't able to, finish high school, and she decided not to, but it
Yeah,
was really kind of put on my birth. So that's a huge burden to
absolutely.
grow up with. So it was kind of set the tone, and they both trauma bonded. He had been through a lot growing up, my stepdad, that is, and my mom had been through a lot too. Growing up, her dad was abusive and abusive to her mom. And then she lost, I talk about this in the book, she lost her mom early. She was still a child. I think she may have been in the ninth grade. My grandmother, Christine, died of a heart
Oh
aneurysm
my goodness.
suddenly at 37.
That's
So yeah, it was a lot of pain there between the both of them. So it was a lot of fighting in my house. My stepdad has cocked a rifle to my mom's head and threatened to kill her in front of us,
you
which was
witnessed
very, very hard to deal with.
you witnessed that? Like,
I'm sorry. Yes, I was there. Me and my brothers were just screaming,
mhm.
for him not to do it, for her safety. And so growing up, I was very fearful as a child, very scared all the time. We didn't have a phone, so I would have to run to my neighbor's house to call the police all the time, and the neighbors could hear a lot that was going on in the house. So it was a really, really turbulent childhood to grow up in. Not that we didn't have good times. I talk about that in the book, but it was really, really tough. So imagine that on top of zero self-esteem, not having your father in your life.
Yeah.
Um, I was lost. I really and truly, what saved me was church. So my mom would take us to church, and that's really what gave me, something
Yeah. You were
positive to
active
lean
in the
into.
church?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not at first. I was so young. I just remember being saved. I had to be like 7 years old, and I remember the lady, her name was Miss Shirley, and Shirley was telling me how God loved me despite my faults and despite what we do and any mistakes that we make as a kid or as a eventually as a grown up. He always will forgive us and love us, and I cling to that for dear life. Like, it was my saving grace just to know that someone did love me, because I know my parents
Mhm.
loved me. They just had a lot of trauma, um, a
Mhm.
lot of bitterness, a lot of anger. So knowing that someone loved me and accepted me and forgave me for the mistakes that I made was like, okay, I can do this. Like, it just felt like, okay, I'll be able to get through life knowing that I have someone that no matter what I do, what I say, is going
It's
to love and
amazing how,
accept me.
like, your experience at church and the love of God can be a safe haven, right? And it
Mhm.
helps to heal that trauma, it sounds
Yes,
like.
absolutely. It does. It gives you something to strive
For sure.
towards. It gives you the strength. You know how people talk about the wind beneath my wings? It really was that. It really was me saying, "Okay, well, if he loves me despite everything,
Absolutely.
then I can
Absolutely.
make it."
Yeah. You were also mentioning,
Absolutely.
I wanted to go back to what you were saying about feeling like you were unwanted, right? I know many people who just kind of,
Yeah.
say in passing, like, oh, you were unplanned, or I wasn't ready to be a parent when I had you. And they don't take into consideration how that makes the child feel. And for you, I wonder, hearing that, how did that impact your
Mhm.
sense of self?
Yeah, that's why the low self-esteem just was lower. It was like when you feel like a mistake, feel like you're worthless, feel like you're not loved, because as a
Absolutely.
child, you don't understand. It impacted everything, the way that I held my head down, the way that
Mhm.
I wouldn't give eye contact, the way that I felt about myself. I tried to overachieve a lot, so it did bring out that, well, you gotta get good grades, you gotta show people that it's not true. I am smart, it's not true. I will be okay. We heard,
Mhm.
you're trifling a lot growing up. You're never gonna amount to anything. It was a lot to fight through because when you come here to this earth, we're conditioned to believe that our parents are supposed to show up a certain way. They're supposed to love me, provide for me, talk positivity into me, promote me, and cheer for me. And it's not always that way. I've grown to understand that
Yeah.
people show up just like they're supposed to. When I look back, I'm grateful for all of it. I mean, all of it. I have no regrets, because I feel that all of that has made me who I am. I'm able now to have a beautiful following of people that trust me, people that listen to me, people that gain things from my wisdom because of the things that I've been through. I know I would not be the same person had I not gone through all of this. So I don't regret it. I forgive my parents. I forgive myself. And I understand that some people don't get past it.
Yeah.
And that was my reason for writing the book. I needed people to see you can make crazy decisions,
Mhm.
that we feel like are mistakes, but you can still move past that and have a great life. I needed them to see that I'm not perfect, because some people put you on this pedestal. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, she's a kind person. She's a nice person. She's positive, and they carry you on this pedestal. And I needed people to see that, no, I've made decisions that you may think may not have been
Exactly.
favorable.
Don't put
I
me
have
on.
my own skeletons, but
Put
I've
me
been
on. Yes,
right. Take me
exactly.
down. Take me down. But it's like, but I've made it. I've made it through. I ended up repeating the cycle of teenage pregnancy, just like my mom and her mom, and getting my children through. I think my oldest daughter was 19 when she had her child. I felt like, well, it wasn't 16. You know what I'm saying? Like the rest of us. It wasn't 17, 18. Okay, we made it to 19. We're gonna work with it. I didn't put her out
You
like
were
I
out
got
at
put
18?
out. I
Okay,
decided that
okay.
yes, I did. I talk about
Yes.
that in the book, so you guys gotta get it because I'm talking about all of that, like going from having a home to not having a home, to trying to figure out where am I gonna live, how am I gonna feed this child and myself, because I'm just a child myself, and so it's a lot. It's
Goodness.
so much in this book, but understanding that I am a generational
Mhm.
curse breaker, not a maker. We've lived it out enough, and now we're going to do things differently. So, this journey has been about that, just having the opportunity to not only break curses, not only change the narrative, but also help other people do the same for themselves, to be a conduit for the Most High, is what I call God, for the Most High to do the same thing, to be able to utilize me to heal as many people as He can through my journey, through my
Yeah, yeah.
vulnerability
I
and my
think,
honesty.
I don't know if we as a culture, we put enough emphasis on the power of transparency and telling the story, because our healing can help to
Yeah.
facilitate the healing process for other people. Like, and it sounds like you did this through
Speak.
writing that book.
Yes. Yes, and I've been
Yeah.
doing it just as a coach, just as a friend, as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, as a cousin, just letting people know, like, There is beauty. I love when Brene Brown says vulnerability makes you beautiful. It's absolutely true. You want to set other people free by letting them know they're not the only ones. I think a lot of times, even though the mind is tricky, right? It'll tell you a story, it'll make up a whole story and have you believe in it, and it's not true, but the mind would have you believe you're the only one that's ever did this or the only one that's ever did that, and it's not true. We are humans. We are in this human suit having this experience, and we're going to mess up, right? We're going to do things that aren't always good. The key to me is getting the lesson out of it and forgiving yourself for going through it. Because a lot of times we're our biggest critics. We do not want to admit that we are wrong. We don't want to admit that we did something that wasn't so favorable. A lot of times we care so much about what people think about us or what they will think about us or how they're going to look at us or are they going to respect us. And I feel like if you're open enough to be vulnerable about the things that you've been through, it sets other people free. And in doing that, they're able to open up and really deal with it. We cannot fix it if we don't even admit that
you can't heal it if you can't reveal it. Like we can't be in a state of healing. Listen, like it's so many people out there who just are so committed to having this facade of being healed and well put together to the point where they're ignoring what internally they're rotting. Like they have things that they're not addressing.
Yes, be shredded inside and then polish the outside and make it look so good. And you're so torn up. And that's what I want people to receive, is that it can be a real thing. Why live a facade when you can live the reality of really having joy and peace? No matter what happens, I feel like that joy will always rise. It can be suppressed by loss. It can be suppressed by depression. It can be suppressed by all of these things that, hurt us or bother us. But when it's true joy and you just have that inside of you, it's going to rise back to the top. It's about feeling it. It's about allowing yourself to really feel the pain, to feel what your mind can be wrong and it can lie and tell you stories, but allow it to come through you, right? And then once you address, like, what's the fact here? Is this even true? Like, what I'm telling myself, is this even real? And when you get to that point, you'll notice a lot of the things you're saying isn't a fact. It's about feelings, facts versus feelings, So really getting to the point where you're like, okay, the fact is I'm not ugly. I'm not. I posted this morning on Instagram, beauty starts from the inside out. It's not about the outside, right? It really is not about how you look physically on the outside. I've seen beautiful people that have opened their mouth and I'm like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? It took the beauty away. It just instantly was like, you know what I'm saying? As soon as you open your mouth, you ruined it.
Lauryn Hill said, how you gonna win when you ain't right with it? I think a lot of people need to take heed to that.
Yes, God. Okay.
A part of your story, like a significant part of your story that you wrote about in the book as well, is your marriage to the actor, entertainer, musician, Ceelo Green. Yeah.
Yes, we were married for 5 years. We dated for almost 3 years. Then we got married 5 years. We had a son. And I had 2 daughters when we met. So he also raised my daughters from 4 and 7. And now our kids, like the 2 oldest are in their 30s. And our son that we have together, that we, birthed together, he turned 24 on the 30th. So all of our kids are grown and now we're grandparents. So we have 5 grandkids.
Amazing.
And, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, that was my ex-husband. It's funny because people like, do you get upset when people call you Ceelo's ex-wife? And it's like, I'm going to be that probably to the day that I leave here, because it's a fact. We were married. We're divorced. He is my ex-husband. But yes, you want to create, and have and foster your name, which is why I went back to my maiden name. It's like God said in the Bible that he will make your name great. And I wanted the Johnsons, my family, to know that your name is great. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that you know that. But yes, I was married to him for a long time. And then after we divorced, we dated for a
After the divorce, you
while off
dated?
and on.
Okay.
After the divorce, because we got a divorce, not in love with each other, and I mean in love with each other still. A lot of people, when they get divorced, they hate each other. They're fighting, they're bickering. Ours was not like that. It was turmoil because we both, like I said, I grew up in abuse, and he grew up and went through a lot of things. So I feel like there was trauma bonding there. It didn't necessarily always look the same as what I saw, but there was trauma bond. And so, but we loved each other. And so when I left, it was really just me saying, this isn't healthy. This is a horrible representation of love for my children. I feel like the greatest lesson you can teach your children is how to love through the way that you love in your relationships. And that's what we carry on. We see our parents, we mimic that behavior. It's not always good. And so we went through a lot. I'm talking about it in the book. I know it doesn't come out to October, you guys, and so I don't want to give too much away, but we went through so much and it was unhealthy. So I decided I'm going to go. If you're not ready to, get counsel and stay in counsel and do what it takes to keep your family, then I'm going to leave. The love did not. I left, but my feelings for him didn't change, for a long time. So we still did everything the same. We were together for holidays, Mother's Day, the kids' birthdays, Christmas, vacation. We did stuff the same way. And that was hard too, because there were no boundaries, initially. And so it was kind of like, well, you still got your wife and your kids, you still got your husband and your kids. It felt the same, but it really wasn't healthy because it's very confusing. Now I'm single, but he's still here. You know what I'm saying? He's single, but me and the kids are still around. You know what I mean? So it was unhealthy for a long time. I feel like now the boundaries are set, but it took us a long time to get there because it was like family. We love each other. We're supposed to still get along, and then being in the public eye, we want to set the example of us still getting along. And let people know you don't have to hate each other. You can still be friends. So when I did Atlanta Exes, he came on and supported me, and he was even saying stuff like, you're not my ex-wife, you're my continuum. Or, when the laws change, I'm gonna come back and marry everybody, just little stuff that was kind of like, this isn't gonna work. So over time, boundaries have been set. He's happily engaged now. I'm happy for them. I think she's amazing. And I've tried to teach my kids that love is an unconditional thing. So I knew that if I loved on them, including his fiance, then my kids would love on them. You know what I'm saying? They would love her again, because the way that I teach love is to be it. And so, not saying it wasn't hard, it was still a transition. It's not like you wake up one day and be like, oh, it's all good. We were together the other day and now somebody else is here. This is a new reality. It was tough.
For sure.
But love conquers all things.
What you're sharing here kind of like blows my mind too, because I've never heard anybody talk about how, we were divorced, but also still in love. Like that takes a strong person to walk away. Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was rough. It was rough. I was like, God, why does that have to happen for me? I saw all these people get a divorce and they're like, good luck. You know what I'm saying? Or they're angry. And I'm glad that it didn't, to be honest with you, that it didn't just, it's not that I wasn't angry. I'm going to tell you that. It wasn't that I wasn't disappointed. It was a time where when I started out writing my book during the divorce in '04, that book has been in the works for 20 years, this book. And so it wasn't like I didn't feel angry or disappointment. I felt like I failed God. It was one point where I stayed in the bed for 2 weeks. And I remember my oldest daughter, Sierra, slid a note under my door, and it was like, "Mom, get up today, take a bath, put on something nice, and go do something nice for yourself." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, my
That's
kids
a
are watching."
reminder.
It really jolted me, but I did go through. I went through, and it's unusual usually for people um to still be in love going through that. You know what I'm saying? And to still try to get along going through that, and coexist and co-parent. It was
I
tough.
can
It was tough as
imagine.
hell. But yeah, but I did it and he did it. We did it. And I'm a better person for it. Like I said before, I forgive everybody. I know people have the free will to
Mhm.
show up in your life however they choose. I choose to look at the people that took me through the most stuff as my
Mhm.
greatest teachers, right? I have a life coach. Her name is Dr. Sue Carter Collins. And I remember her telling me that one day is like, look at them like your greatest teachers. And she's right, because I learned the best lessons. I became the most resilient, I became stronger and more powerful because of the hardships. Had they not shown up the way that they did, I wouldn't be who I am. Something would be missing. Again, I don't regret it, right? I'm grateful for it. So it was funny because sometimes I would tell my ex-husband, like, you one of my greatest teachers. He was like, what you mean by that,
Why do
Chris? You I be mimicking him. I be like, because you took me through a lot, yo. And that is how I have become who I am. And now people, like I said, they listen to my wisdom. It's been a blessing to others. So how can I be mad? I am not
Yes, the
mad
power of choosing
at
forgiveness.
all.
That's amazing. Amazing.
Yes. Isn't it something? It's good stuff, Dr. Shanta. Good. Forgiveness is powerful. One of my favorite quotes in the world is, "Unforgiveness is like drinking poison and
Mm.
waiting for the other person to die." You are killing yourself. You're drinking the poison, not the other person. So you being mad is hurting you, which is why I was saying earlier that I know I was angry. I'm not going to sit up here and act like, oh, I wasn't mad that it didn't work or hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, I created illness in my body because first of all, I was such a giver, even before the marriage and even in the marriage, like giving everything away, whether it was monetary, advice. I've always been the one that everybody comes to, even when they're not feeling well. Like, what should I take? Oh, get this herb and that herb, take this tea, and I always got a word for somebody, but I wasn't checking my reserve. So I kept burning myself out. Now my marriage is over and I'm truly feeling like I let the Most High down. I didn't keep my promise and the covenant is now broken. And then I felt like, oh, and then you get to go out here and do this and this. And now me and the kids, I'm doing all the things. Now you're in LA and you're doing this. And God bless it. But I'm the one here at the, teachers' conferences by myself. And I started to grow. First of all, my thyroid went out and like it started overacting. So I got something called Graves' disease, which is an autoimmune disease that attacks the thyroid, which is this
Mhm.
butterfly gland in your throat. It controls your metabolism. So my weight fluctuated. It controls the heart. It got so bad. I was tiny and I started to die. I started getting tumors in my womb. And the doctor was like, my
Oh
endocrinologist was
my
like, you the
goodness.
sickest patient I ever had. Um, we can't cut on you because your thyroid is so bad, but your kidneys. So my right kidney started shrinking because the tumors were sitting on it. My left kidney got
Oh.
bigger because it had to overcompensate. So I was dying. And he was like, your kidneys are going to fail. We're going to put you on the operating table to try to save you, and you're going to die of cardiac arrest. He honestly said this to me. And it's crazy because I'll tell you guys a story in the book about how Ricky Smiley was kind of connected to that for me one morning because he does this inspirational thing. So God had already told me, like, Christina, no matter how bad it gets, stand on my promises. And I remember running out the doctor's office when he told me that, sitting in my car and bawling. And I could clearly hear, are you going to believe the word of man,
Wow.
or are you going to stand on my promises? And at that moment, I was like, that's it. Whatever you decide to do, God, I surrender. I'm going to start thanking him. I started thanking God for my healing. Thank you for the people that are praying for me that's never prayed before. Thank you for people that are being healed through my situation. And I remember going on Facebook and saying, this is what the doctor said, watch God work. And he did. I'm here. I'm on your
Promises.
podcast. I'm so
Yes.
honored to be here, by the way. Stood on his promises, and I started to say thank you until one day I was thanking him for my healing. And I am still here, still a walking billboard for gratitude, for faith, and for the Most High, because I know that it was his grace that has sustained me. I know that it was my gratitude that helped me. It grew my faith. So sometimes we're going through things and we think it's about other people. I mean, us, but it's really for other people. It's for people to watch you go through your journey so that you can teach them how faithful God is and how faithful he can be. I have an aunt right now who's in the hospital. And when I got on, I was on with my mom. She was updating me. She's fighting for her life. She won't say the C word. She won't tell the doctors if she wants to be resuscitated. She has so much faith in God. She's like, he's going to come through again. I've had breast cancer. I've had colon cancer. Now it's in my lungs, and I trust him. And I told my mother, we are going to fight alongside her, and we're going to fight with her, and we're going to believe the Most High for her healing. She was calling me saying they want to send her to hospice because she doesn't want to tell them. I was like, we're fighting with her. Tell them to do everything they can to save her. And we're good, and I'll be home. Like, at the end of the day, I trust God so much because I've seen it for myself, Dr. Chanda. I've walked the walk. I know how great he is. I know how he carried me. I know how he's kept my family protected. I trust him more than anything. And so I just want other people to get some of that. If I could bottle it up, I would. I bottle it up and give it away. It feels good to have the unwavering faith. I just know everything's going to be okay.
When you read about it or whatever, but when you experience it like you had, like, it's a different level of elevated. Yes.
It's another feeling. It sure is. It's a different feeling, and I just trust them. And I trust myself. Most of all, it's like, girl, you done been through all of this, and you still here, and you still are faithful, and you still are kind. You know what I'm saying? Like, anybody can bring something out of you. You know what I'm saying? You can get angry, or you can we're human. That's fine. The Bible even says be slow to anger, but it don't say don't anger. You know what I'm saying? It's a human emotion, but kindness, that's something, I mean, it's just bred in me. Love, I love love, and I love to love. And that's what I want this book to reflect, is that you can go through hell and back and everything will still be all right.
I'm here for that. That's a whole word for the people. Listen, this book is amazing, and it sounds like then you poured your heart out to the people, not just for yourself, for selfish reasons, but like, no, I want to activate your faith. Listen to my story.
Absolutely. It's not, I could take this to my grave. I'm good. Like, even things with my marriage, even things with my parents, it's like, I'm 51 years old. You know what I'm saying? I'm not out here chasing fame. I've done the TV thing. Even then, it was humbly done. If you watch Atlanta Exes and you go back and watch these things, you'll see, like, it's still all in humility and love. You know what I'm saying? I thought about, okay, y'all asking me to do reality TV. I've turned down 8 shows already. If I do this, it's going to be on my terms. It's going to be me being myself 100%. I don't know how to do nobody else better than I know Chris. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to show up as Chris, but I'm a mom. My children are watching this, and every parent's children are my children too. I don't want to be doing anything crazy. I'm not going to. So if you want me to do it, everybody was saying, like, you're going to be the boring one, and I don't care. You know what I'm saying? You asked me to do it. I'm going to show you everything. I'm going to pour out my heart. You're going to see my family. You're going to see my ex, you're going to see my, me dating again. You're going to see all this stuff. I'm going to be genuine, but I'm not acting crazy. So, at the end of the day, like I said, I feel like when you're open and vulnerable and you put it all on the line, what you're going to manifest is the thing that you put it on the line for. And again, my reasoning for doing this is so that other people, everybody who reads it, can get something great out of it and start a healing journey, start working on themselves in some type of way. But this life is so good when you really enjoy it and you're getting goodness out of it and you're sharing goodness, right? So just enjoy life, fix your stuff, so that you can really get the best out of this journey. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I've done. That's what I continue to do. I feel like healing is a journey, not necessarily just a destination, because as soon as you heal one thing, here comes another trigger, or here comes some residue from what you thought was healed. Still is a little, residue in there. So we're constant works in progress. I feel like that's why we are here. So enjoy it, do the work, go through, don't stay in hell, go through it. Trust the process, and live a life of gratitude, because you always have something to be grateful for. I don't care how bad it gets, how ugly it gets, you still have something you can find to be grateful for.
Amazing.
So focus on
Can you remind us when the book comes out? Because I know the people are ready to purchase.
Yes. I know. It comes out October 25th. That is next month. Well, this month. Sorry. This month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So because I grew up in that and I've been in relationships where I've had to deal with that and be a survivor of that, I wanted to make sure that it came out in this, in this month. At first, I didn't realize it wasn't. Then I said, God, you are truly something else. You have a plan. So October 25th at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, you can get it from Amazon. You can get it from ChristinaSJohnson.com. Please follow me if you're on Instagram, Christina Johnson _, Facebook, Christina Johnson. But everything Christina Johnson is at Christina S. Johnson.
Well, Miss Christina, we definitely appreciate you for your time and for your story. Like, it's so not easy being vulnerable, but we appreciate it. Like, the vulnerability is needed.
Thank you. I just think you're amazing. I've been listening to your podcast. Just you being so young and what you're doing to bless the world. Don't stop. You and your twin are adorable. I was like, oh my God, I'm so proud of them. So just keep going. And thank you for what you're doing for all of us. It is a blessing. Keep going. You're so talented, so intelligent, and so beautiful. Just keep bringing the sunshine. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Miss Christina. I so appreciate the kind words. I really do. And you're always welcome back whenever you want to come. Just let us know. Of course. Okay, and make sure you guys get the book, and make sure to tune in next week at the Paging Dr. Chanda show. And don't forget, y'all, that you have the power to create the emotions that you want to